tube tying, and hysterectomies. And a whistleblower came forward, right? And he would say that they had stage 4 cervical cancer and needed to remove their uterus. And then later the women were told by oncologists that they had no cancer. Sometimes he would remove the wrong ovary, so we would have to do 2 surgeries. He paid a $520,000 fine for fraudulent claims to Medicaid, but somehow this guy has the contract to be doing hysterectomies and medical exams for the ICE office. So, also too, the women were bruised and injured during his treatment, and they went to these women would go to this nurse, this whistleblower, Dawn Wooten, and say, "What is he doing, Miss Wooten, collecting all of our uteruses?" So this is once again another terrifying, right before our eyes going on. There's so much news that goes on from one day to the next. There's one atrocity after another. You know, we just heard the other day that Trump says, well, he doesn't think he's going to. There may not be a peaceful transition of power if he loses the election. You know, and these things just go through one ear and out the other. You know, and things are just getting more and more extreme. And with the situation with Breonna Taylor, this incredible grand jury indictment where, failure to indict, where people can now be shot and killed in their own homes while lying in their own beds, and there's no consequences for it. Well, as they're finding out that there are consequences, and the consequences comes through property damage and physical violence in the streets, because it's the last resource of reaction that the people have when there's no justice in the courtrooms. Now, I got to tell you, we're at a time in this country and with this election like never before I've seen in my life, and I've lived my life one of adventure, and romantic life, passionate life, ran with the bulls, a smuggler, nightclub owner, tent ministry, gospel tent ministry, private investigator, and all those larger than life activities. And I always considered myself a freedom fighter, an anti-fascist, a resistance fighter, a revolutionary. And I got to tell you, I have no delusions. I hold no fantasy that this will be a romantic time in our history. This will be a chaotic, bloody, angry, dangerous time for all of us, especially those of us who stick our necks out and put our necks forward. This could be a time, my friends, where I'll meet you in a cattle car, okay? And we all have to think about this soberly, and rather than a hysterical rhetoric encouraging the government to be rounding people up in Pedophile Island and send them down to Gitmo and all this kind of crazy talk, because you could just as easily find yourself there, too, as well, if that's the type of government that you want, where people are being rounded up off the streets. And we've actually seen that with unmarked federal government officials rounding people up off the street. Now, don't get me wrong. We've got a madman, a dictator in the White House. But Mr. Biden is no better. They just came out this big report. But it's kind of just the old, yawn corruption. Hunter Biden, Burisma, and corruption, the impact on U.S. government policy and related concerns. This is by the U.S. Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs and the U.S. Senate Committee on Finance Majority Staff Report. It's an 87-page report that came out. I've read most of this damn thing. And it basically outlines all kinds of conflicts of interest. And the Vice President's office and the State Department's office were aware but ignored concerns relating to Hunter Biden's role in Burisma board. This Burisma company, while Biden is on the board, gave paid out a $7 million bribe. It's hard to believe he wasn't aware of this bribery. John Kerry lied. He claimed that he had no knowledge of Hunter Biden's role on Burisma board. His stepson, I believe, son named Heinz, is involved in all the shenanigans too. believe it or not, this Hunter Biden is a portion of this report where it talks about how Hunter Biden was visiting like 50 countries. This guy, this crack addict, and we got kicked out of I think it was the Navy, for failing a drug test. Talks about, having a gun pulled on him, was trying to buy crack, all this kind of crazy stuff. Even in this report here, they're talking about how some of his funds went to, it's kind of being misquoted. Some of his funds went to a human trafficking and sex trafficking organization, so it seems like he was hiring prostitutes, not that he was personally involved in sex trafficking or human trafficking. But anyway, he's getting these payments, $3 million payments from Russian oligarchs. He had a $39 million bankruptcy with some tablet company. He was with an unnamed Chinese manufacturer. This is like one scam after another. It's not a little money. I guess when you get to be vice president, you got big scams you can pull off. But reminds me so much, this story here, this Hunter Biden, this character, with a couple other things I'm going to be telling you about. But about 3 years ago, I was contacted by a gentleman who was working on a TV segment about that whole scandal with the tiny homes in Haiti and how there was a company that involved Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush and Wesley Clark, and even Obama was at a meeting of this company. So both parties, people from both parties were involved in a scam company where they took all this money from investors to build these tiny homes in Haiti. And they took money from charities and donations. And it was all run through some guy who had a computer repair business. He bought and sold used computers, okay? And that was, and they put him as the head of this tiny home building thing. And he's spending money lavishly. He has a drinking problem. He's all over the place. So I was contacted by these guys doing a segment. And they says, hey, Ed, we're doing a segment. Heads up on this thing, man. There's a great story. But they're burying all the good stuff. So they sent me, and I did a report on this. I can't find any of this now. And even Googling this on the internet, I can't even find it. It's been buried on the internet, too, as well. So I can't find my report that I did on my original report. But I did find my original report that I did about Jerry Falwell Jr. Okay, that was about a year and a half ago. I was the first guy talking about that. Because I became aware of the pool boy story with Jerry Falwell. And if you notice, I use that phrase a lot these days. I became aware because it's in the Mueller report and the indictment of Roger Stone. And it's the same line, okay? And it blows me away because everybody misses this. And it talks about how the Democratic National Convention became aware that their computers were hacked. And then they went and hired CrowdStrike, who found the hacking. How did they become aware? The same way I became aware. Somebody told me. That's how they became aware. Somebody told me. So keep your eye out for that one. That's one of my little clues I'm throwing out there to you. All right. So Hunter Biden is dirty as they come. There's all kinds of stuff in here, too, about even how people in the State Department were saying, hey, man, this is interfering with our work. This kid over there getting money from the Russians are using this against us in propaganda over there in Ukraine, talking about this guy. So very bad situation, underreported in the media, and we overreported on Fox News and those characters there. But totally reminds me of this other story with the tiny houses where hundreds of millions of dollars were stolen from Haiti by people from both parties. There's even a Democrat lobbying firm that's caught up in all this that I never heard of this company before. So, but even then, still, it's like just the old tired shenanigans that we've always had, the old tired corruption. Not like the stuff like we're seeing today. And even like this thing with down here in Florida, there's a big controversy down here in Florida right now with former Mayor Bloomberg, who's donating $100 million to advertise down here to elect Biden down here in Florida. And what he got, he came up with this scheme, I believe with LeBron James is involved, right? Where they're going to donate money so that people down here who have a criminal record, they passed a law down here a few years back where you can get your voting rights back as long as you're not a violent felon. And you pay restitution. You pay off your fines, you pay off your restitution, then we're going to give you back your right to vote. So Bloomberg came up with a plan with some group down here, some organization, a front group, right? He's going to put up the money here, LeBron James. And not everybody. They're not going to pay off everybody's stuff, right? Only if you're a registered voter, only if you're black and Hispanic, okay, and of certain demographics. Those are people that they want. So we're supposed to think for a minute that the motivation here is not to be buying votes. Clearly, Bloomberg is no fan of felons or blacks or Hispanics or poor people whatsoever who can't pay their fines and restitution. He's never offered to do this anytime, any place, any other where. Of course not. This is the guy stop and frisk, all this nonsense, man. This guy is no fan of anybody getting justice at the voting booth. It's just more corruption. Put his buddy Biden in there, so Biden's son can get more of these contracts, man. You know. Ah, brother, what a life! What a life! We're in for the rough period of time ahead of us, guys. Here, let's take a little commercial break here, and I'm going to get into this whole story. This is just so fascinating. Another guy down here in Florida, and I had a little chat with his lawyers, but this has like a legal aid. Fascinating. Again, reminds me so much of the Little House scandal, the tiny homes scandal down there in Haiti with Clinton and Wesley Clark and all these characters and Jeb Bush. Same kind of thing where this guy ran this phony Navy veterans charity. You know, remember I did that show about how many? It's like 90 charities for veterans. I says, Uncle Sam wants you to destroy your life. Or Uncle Sam wants you to ruin your life. I think it was ruin your life. And by mistake, I put a typo in there. I said run your life instead of ruin your life. And all these charities, man, to help veterans, you know, or military families if they're already in it. And still, they got more suicides, more unemployment, more drug addiction, more arrests, more convictions, less home ownership, less employment, less college. Even with the free college, and then they got that VA loan stuff to buy houses. Still less than the average guy. You're better off in every possible area of your life to be never join the military than if you have joined the military. But somehow we treat it like it's some kind of a badge of honor. And we have 60% of cops come out of military. And by the way, man, forget the rape stuff, man. No, you're like almost guaranteed to either be a rapist or have been raped if you've been in the U.S. military. We did a whole show about that too as well. I had a whole guest on here about rapes within the U.S. military. Let's take a commercial break, and we will be right back after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to sing a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at PureSoapFlakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
Tina Helmuth is writing an ongoing series of fact-fiction books that boldly takes on today's most heinous crimes. Suffer the Little Children, The Wrath of the Father, and